Hi, it's Amory with the AMERIE'S book club selection for the month of March, which is New Waves by Kevin Nguyen, just dropped today, so make sure you pick up your copy. New Waves is about a boy named Lucas. He's Vietnamese American. His best friend is Margot, who is the only black girl or the only black person who works at the tech startup that they work at. And she's about to get fired for no real reason. Is it racist? She's not sure. They don't know because it's the whole thing is chalked up to you just don't really fit in with the culture or fit in with the vibe here, and that's just left to be determined. So she wants to seek revenge by hitting the company back by stealing their user database. And on a drunk night, they decide to do it. They go in there, they take some things, and then later they realize they took a lot more than they bargained for, which could lead to them being in a lot of trouble. They decide not to do anything with it after all. They don't even talk about it anymore. And then next thing you know, Margot is dead. But that's not actually what the story is about. Really what kicks off the story is Margot's mother meeting Lucas for the first time and wanting him to delete Margot's Facebook. Now, Margot's mother just knows nothing about being online, and of course, deleting profiles and all that stuff, you have to have the password, and you have to go into legalities when it comes to being able to take over that account. You guys should look this stuff up because it's really fascinating. If a person passes away, it can be very complicated in erasing their online presence. So her mother wants him to do this for her. During this process, he finds that the Margot that he thought he knew isn't actually the full Margot. He actually wonders if he ever knew the real Margot at all. So she's like telling stories, she has all this online presence in other places. He feels like this is an entirely different person. During this time he meets Jill, who was Margot's online friend. So she never ever met Margot. She only knew her through her online presence. So you have one friend, Lucas, who's like her best friend in real life, but doesn't really know much about her at all online. And then you have another person who only knows her through her online presence. The novel is really a meditation on racism, classism, sexism, and who we think we are and who we think the people around us are, and how that all intersects with technology. Also, what's left of us when we are no longer here. And if those pieces that are online that are left of that person are even who they were anyway, because we all leave such a trail of ourselves online, whether it's intentional or not. But at the same time, all these little fragments of ourselves that are online don't ever really sum up to the actual person. I want to actually go to a passage in which we talk about why Margot was fired and when she was fired from her job. You know, people often talk about racism and they're like, oh, this person's not racist, or I'm not racist. And they say it as if when someone says someone is racist or says something racist, it means they're donning like the Klan hat. You can say so many racist things but not mean it in a racist way, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it's racist. And I think people automatically, it's like the threshold for something being racist is so high for some people that you basically have to be out to kill people. And anything other than that is not racist, and that's very untrue. So we're here talking about this company, and they find out that most of their users at this time are African American. If Nimbus's user base grew only in the sector of African Americans, the business would become unsustainable within 6 months. This was when Margot lost it. She stood up at her seat, began shouting, her voice frustrated and incredulous and confrontational. It was one thing to say that black people were less valuable than everyone else. To her, it was another to declare that black people were unworthy of technology. I'm going to skip down a little. When she was eventually let go, the event in the conference room, this conference meeting, wasn't cited. Nothing was, except the general fit of Margot in the workplace. It was probably that, she said, but I have no way to really know for sure. That's what racism in the workplace looked like. You could feel it everywhere, in your brain, in your heart, in your bones, but you could never prove it. And that wasn't even the worst part. At the bar, just hours before we made off with Nimbus's user data, Margot conceded that she had played right into their hands. She was frustrated, chose to speak out about it, and had accidentally became the thing white men had always expected she was, an angry black woman. That is just so much truth right there. So that's just a little piece of what you'll get from this novel. Kevin Nguyen worked at Google, at Amazon. He writes for a lot of publications and online sites as well, but he also worked at these tech companies. So he really understands the culture and what people are going through within that culture. Because he also talks a lot about how a lot of these tech not even startups, but just the tech companies in general. But I'm sure when they start out, they're starting out with a lot of idealism, and there's this like very like positive, we're gonna change the world kind of vibe. And then as they become bigger, that still exists, but then you also have sexism and you have racism and all these other things, while a company is still trying to be super optimistic and super positive and super let's change the world together. Meanwhile, the disparities regarding race and class and gender, either they exist, but one can say that technology in some ways can widen that gulf. So it's a lot to explore, and there'll be a lot to talk about because we are going to be chatting with the author. I don't know if the shimmy, that is like a little, I shimmy sometimes, okay? We're going to be talking with the author at the end of the month, all about the novel and a lot about this tech culture, because I think this comes up a lot in the news as well. Coronavirus right now, but when it's not coronavirus, we're also talking a lot about tech stuff. So make sure you pick up the book New Waves by Kevin Nguyen, and make sure you join the chat at the end of the month. Join the hashtags, hashtag AMERIE'S book club, hashtag read with Amory, hashtag ABC, and join the conversation. I will talk to you guys very soon.